And welcome back to the program. Time now to talk politics, joined by Janelle Lilley of KATV. She's the lead Capitol reporter and the weekend anchor. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And John Burris, talk business and politics contributor and a Republican strategist.
Yeah.
And a former state legislator.
Yeah.
We had a fun time on election night. It was a good night for your Republicans, for sure.
It was, most of them.
Yeah, maybe one or two not so good, but in the grand scheme of things, a lot. We'll get to some of that. Let's start statewide first with the results. Governor Asa Hutchinson reelected in a landslide. When these things happen, you say that there is a mandate for him to enact his agenda, correct?
You know, no surprise there, though. The governor has remained largely popular in the state. Even your polling suggested that it really wasn't going to be a close race. I think it does give him some ability as we come into the legislative session to really say, hey, legislature, follow me. This is what I want. This is what I think the state vision should be, and kind of get in line. Let's see what we can accomplish.
And legislators just fall right in line when that happens, don't they, John?
They won't, but it's good to be the governor. You know, you look at the margin here. Governor Hutchinson actually won by a larger margin than Governor Beebe did. And so you mentioned I was in the legislature. I was the House Minority Leader at the time with Governor Beebe, and I got told every time I disagreed with him, he's popular. Remember that. And I expect that will happen some with Governor Hutchinson also.
But what will be his big issues that he drives? Tax cuts, government reorg?
And highways.
Highways, yeah.
But the tax cut plan, there's a little bit of a debate still to be resolved between the legislature and the governor. Both have plans to cut the income tax. The question is how and exactly how you trigger. I think governor's takes it to 5.9. Legislative task force recommended something similar, but that will be one of the debates. Yeah, highways and then the transformation.
Yeah, and there'll be a little bit of a budget gap there with the casino measure passing there, because it is going to lower that tax rate for the existing casinos here. I think ultimately it catches up, but there'll be a little bit of a budget hole there to make up.
Yeah, for a while, until we can, figure out whether or not, first of all, those casinos will be put in place where the law allows them to be, and secondly, getting them up and running.
All right, let's talk just a little trivia note here for you, because I know you both know her very well. The Republican statewide candidate who received the most votes on election night,
Andrea Lilley.
She already told me.
I know.
Oh, she didn't tell me, but I was watching that come in. Yeah.
Just bump into her.
Congressional district.
And she deserves it, by the way.
Congressional districts 1, 3, and 4 remain easily in the Republican category. Second congressional district, French Hill wins re-election, and it really was not that close. When you do a deep dive into some of the numbers here, which I have done, this is a really interesting statistic here. Clark Tucker did 5 percentage points better in Pulaski County than Pat Hayes did in the last midterm election, but Pulaski County accounted for 53% of the vote in 2018. In 2014, Pulaski County accounted for 53% of the vote. The more things change, the more things stay the same in the second district.
Yeah, I mean, the polling indicated that Congressman Hill was likely to win. The margin was right in line with that. As you noted, Pulaski County just is what it is and always will be, but those outskirts of Faulkner, Saline, White continue to grow. And as long as Republicans are speaking in a language that they agree with, I think they're going to more than offset whatever happens in Pulaski County.
If a Democrat wants to win this seat, they have to focus outside of Pulaski County. I mean, I think the numbers in Pulaski County are fairly steady as you're reporting, and you would have to make inroads into Saline. You'd have to make inroads into Faulkner and White County, really to chip away at any kind of advantage that.
And I don't know if that's possible for a Democrat to do that.
It would
be honest
very
with you,
difficult.
I think this district is a lean Republican district now, and I don't think it's in anywhere near a toss-up district. Clark Tucker was a good candidate, raised a lot of money, didn't have necessarily a big political brand with currency because he hadn't been on the scene that long, but he was a respectable candidate for the Democrats and ran a pretty hard race.
You call the legislative leaders the White County boys for a reason. I mean, that is there because they are extremely popular in that county, and it would be very hard with not just Congressman Hill, but the other legislators that come out of that county to make an inroad there.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, Clark was a great candidate. Hard part for Democrats is if you're not going to win the second district in this cycle with your A-plus candidate, how are you ever going to win statewide the next cycle against Tom Cotton? And I think that's what a lot of this race people were looking at to see how it turned out. And I think just no matter how you cut it, it's bad news for them statewide.
Let's stay with Congress here, because all 4 of those incumbent congressmen who will be going back for the first time ever will be in the minority in Congress. it's different being in the minority. You've been a former House minority leader before at the state level, but you know how it is in Congress too. What can those congressmen expect now in Congress in Washington, D.C.?
You know, I don't know. I think they're all good at their job. Being in the minority can be more fun at the state level. I think in Congress it's probably just not good. You can still be involved, I mean, and the margins are tight, and you have a White House and a Senate to work with, so they'll keep all their respective committee assignments and things like that and still be able to affect the process.
Nonetheless, Congressman Womack loses that coveted House budget chairmanship, which is an influential and powerful post.
I also think it might change, you know, some of the things that they talk about and some of the things that they tote. They're going to have to, if they want to pass legislation, you know, and put that Arkansas stamp on it, it's going to have to be legislation that is acceptable to the Democrats, you know. And I think Congressman Hill's actually done a good job of this. He's gotten a lot of bipartisan bills through. I think that'll be something that we will probably expect to see more of. It is going to be frustrating in those major issues, though. It's going to be frustrating losing those chairmanships. And Shane Broadway actually said it best on election night that, you know, it might even drive people to just not have fun there, not even want to pursue.
Maybe look at coming back to Arkansas for some races.
Exactly, because being in the minority just isn't that fun.
Yeah, and I do think it changes the agenda in Congress as well. I mean, you're not going to see, you know, major tax cuts unless maybe there's a middle income tax cut that can come through. I think you'll see infrastructure. There will probably be some conversations on that. But you're going to have stalemates on almost everything else. Immigration, health care, some of those things I think are just going to be immovable objects when you've got a slim majority in the House for the Democrats and a decent majority in the Senate, but still not huge, and a Republican White House. I mean, I think we're in for some gridlock, and I think we're in for a lot of investigation and oversight.
You are.
Probably more than we'll care to stomach.
In order to find anything to succeed on, you're going to have to keep away from those kind of hot button issues and look at the middle ground issues where you can make some inroads.
Yeah, probably not a lot of policy, probably a lot of process, and investigating everybody. Everybody's going to be investigating the others, and you know that's better than doing something dumb, I guess. That has
good time to be in investigative journalism, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I was going to say, what's wrong with investigations, John?
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick commercial break, come back and talk about some more of these results from election night. I'm with Janelle Lilley and John Burris. I'm Roby Brock, and we're back right after this. Welcome back to the program. I'm joined by John Burris and Janelle Lilley. We're talking politics here. All right, processing some more of election night. This is interesting to me. In the Arkansas legislature, we started the night before the election with 26 Republicans, 9 Democrats in the Senate, 76 Republicans, 24 Democrats in the House. We ended the night with those exact same numbers there. There were a couple changes. Most notably, Michael John Gray, the Democratic Party chairman, lost his House seat. Charlie Collins, Republican state representative from Northwest Arkansas, the Guns on Campus lightning rod there, loses his seat. So there were some high-profile victories for each party there, but in the end, those were kind of the two biggest movements of the night. John, keep it down the middle with your analysis on this.
I actually like both the Republican and the Democrat that lost. So, you know, Michael John had a tough job as chairman of the party and that the Democratic Party, and that obviously put a target on his back. And he was from a district that was trending right also. And so he lost a tight one. Charlie Collins, he and I used to live beside each other. And, you know, I said that night, one of the best guys you'll ever know, just on a human level. Love to get in there and attack a tough issue. He did that with income taxes, Medicaid reform, but also Second Amendment. I don't know if that's what ended up causing him to lose anyway. Washington County had a lot of surprises. Jeff Williams also lost his seat, an incumbent Republican. So, you know, time goes on, and the big picture, it's all the same.
Yeah, the other Democrat that lost was Scott Baltz up in Northeast Arkansas and Pocahontas. He's had close races every election cycle. That district is a purple or maybe slightly red one up there too. But yeah, we will come into the legislature with really
similar
the
numbers.
Same Republican supermajorities.
But I will say losing those two is losing some leadership in both parties. I mean, not just with Representative Gray, but also, you know, Representative Collins had been in there a long time, and he knew the ropes. And so I'll be interested to see who kind of steps into those shoes in either party.
Yeah,
maybe the people that beat them. So it's an opportunity for new leadership here. Okay, casinos and minimum wage. I want to spend a little bit of time on those races. Minimum wage, you're going to find this pretty interesting. It did win by an overwhelming margin. It passed in all 75 counties in Arkansas. And in Benton County, headquarters of Walmart, which is raising its minimum wage to $11 an hour, by the way, it passed 2-1 in Benton County. Does that surprise either one of you?
It does and it doesn't. I kind of, when we were watching those returns come in, I was kind of like, whoa, Walmart, you know, what are they doing over there? But now that I kind of consider it a little bit more, I think that the demographics of that area seem to be the kind of people that would vote for minimum wage, right? You do have more Democrats coming in, and you are seeing a little bit more influence there. So maybe it's surprising, maybe it's not. I kind of go back and forth on it.
Yeah, no, we're a populist Republican state,
right?
Where you have a low per capita income, and generally speaking, everybody thinks they ought to make more money. So you put something on the ballot that says that, and I think it's going to get a lot of votes.
Yeah, I agree. All right, casinos passes by a comfortable margin. I think it was about 64, 65 counties approved it. There were several that did not. Here's an interesting breakdown for you of the 4 counties where the casinos would be located. Crittenden County, where Southland is, it passed about 7,600 to 3,900. Garland County, where Oaklawn is, it passed 16,000 to 13,000. In Jefferson County, where one could be located, 12,704, almost 7,000 against. And in Pope County, where one could be located, 7,004, almost 11,000 against. I think they got some work to do in Pope County. What do you think?
I think that's where all the effort needs to be focused. It's going to be interesting to see how they proceed forward in Pope, because it has to be, you know, they have to accept it there in Pope County before a casino could be built.
Correct,
and so,
correct.
because of
and there was a local ordinance that was passed there that says there has to be a vote
on the same ballot, you know, and so it really does seem that they were sending a clear message in Pope County. They're going to have to be wooed in order for a casino to be located there.
Oh, I think that's right. You know, I went to Arkansas Tech. I was in college Republicans with Breanne Davis, who's the state senator from Pope County now. And when if anyone even alluded to vote for it on a statewide level, you got a personal phone call from Breanne, saying that this was about Pope County and local control. And they were motivated. They passed those local ordinances. And I think, to your point, if you're one of those industries trying to open a casino there, one of the companies, you're going to have an uphill battle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always going to be an option, so we'll see where time gets us.
And that could just be, it could be a strategy thing going forward. You might want to start with Jefferson County, see how it does there, and then take the results to Pope County to see if that's something that they'll
I predict that we will see some enabling legislation in the legislative session, and then you will see Oaklawn and Southland quickly flip the switch into full-fledged casinos, and then I think Jefferson County, the foundation's already laid for that.
That's right. Well,
take your time with Pope County.
And the locals need input. You know, how the local revenue is split, how the casino could be designed and located, are all factors that it's fair for local folks to raise. And so it may take longer in Pope to work through that, if at all, but I think it's good that to a degree there's some local option there.
Yeah. Last question for you, so we can wrap up here. The Supreme Court race. Supreme Court Justice Courtney Goodson, defeated 2 years ago for the Chief Justice post, wins pretty comfortably against David Sterling in this challenge this time around. It was some of the same arguments that we saw last time, but it didn't play this time. Why not?
I think part of it is because it was some of the same arguments. People had kind of been inoculated to that. They had already seen it. They already knew one thing or the other. And I think another thing is it means a lot to have judge or justice in front of your name when people go to the polls and they vote. And I think that does account for a certain percentage of that.
And 2 years ago, Dan Kemp, the Chief Justice, was a judge and had judge in front of his title.
Yeah, that's right. What is it? Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is always the explanation. I think it's probably a lot to do with the title in front of your name on the ballot, and then just other factors, maybe some people, female versus male, or just whatever. But I think being the incumbent for Judge Goodson really helped.
I would also say, and just anecdotally, I heard a lot of people who were put off by the negative advertising, who almost
it was independent expenditure money.
It wasn't coming from the Sterling camp, and I almost wonder if that hurt him to some degree, because A lot of folks just anecdotally would tell me, I just don't like it. I don't like what they're doing. I don't like what they're saying. And so I don't like the negative advertisement, almost like a protest vote the opposite way.
It's not going to stop negative advertising
it
in the
surely
future,
won't.
though, for sure. So, all right, Janelle Lilley, John Burris, thank you both very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Roby.
Thank you.
All right, the future of farming when we come back.